Welcome to Ask the Experts, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce's series to help business leaders grow their companies with practical advice and answers that you can implement right away. A special welcome to those watching remotely on Zoom. You are a valuable part of our audience today, and hello to you watching the recording on YouTube. My name is Paul Casey. I do leadership and team building with Growing Forward Services, and I'm the Executive Director of Leadership Tri-Cities, and I'm privileged to be your facilitator today. This is a free benefit of your chamber membership, and it couldn't be possible without the generous sponsorship of STCU. With us today is Ubron. Come on up here. Go ahead and welcome the crowd.
Buenas tardes, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ubron Mendoza. I am a community branch manager for the Pasco location on Road 68. SDCU is honored to sponsor Ask the Experts and partner with the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce to support our local community and businesses. We all know the importance of recruiting and retaining a qualified and engaged workforce. As a credit union founded by educators, SDCU has grown significantly over the last few years, with now over 40 locations throughout the region and hundreds of employees working from home. We've learned that workforce requires intentionality, and our leadership and our HR teams have been hard at work implementing unique ideas and solutions. Some things we've recently implemented include more focused employee reviews tied to SCCU's core values and strategic priorities. Leadership frequently makes themselves available with virtual town hall meetings where no question is off limits. And finally, a return to celebrations with in-person summer and winter gatherings for employees. As a company, we are consistently listening and learning with frequent poll surveys to employees to ask how they are doing and ideas for improvement. We are excited to hear from today's experts on designing a workplace culture that employees will love to be part of. Thank you all for coming to today's Ask the Experts.
I love how you slid in a whole bunch of culture building stuff there too, that STCU is doing. That's great. We're grateful for your support. So for approximately half, or probably more than half of our 90 minutes together, our experts will be presenting their gold nuggets on our topic of designing a culture that attracts and retains employees. And then for the second half, they will answer your questions. If you'd like to ask a question, we would encourage everyone here to think of a question, by the way, whether you're on Zoom or live in the room, even if you're an introvert. We would love to get a question from you today. You can text me at 509-392-1895. If you want to put that in your phone or write that down, which keeps them anonymous. Or you can use the chat on Zoom if you'd like, or if you're here in the room, you can just raise your hand if you don't care. I will be vetting the questions and feeding them to the experts, and we'll get to as many of them as we can in that last half hour. All of our speakers' contact information is in the back of the room by the cookies and water bottles if you'd like to follow up with them later. So let me introduce our speakers today in random order here. Keith Moon. Keith comes from a family of entrepreneurs. His grandmother owning a laundry service and bakery in Connell. His father owns Moon Painting here in the Tri-Cities, and his mother who owned and operated Tumbleweeds for 14 years until he and his wife purchased it from her in 2014. Keith believes in sharing, promoting, and supporting local businesses through an effort called #CommunityOverCompetition. Under Keith's leadership, Tumbleweeds now sits with 19 employees and over 1.25 million in sales annually. Tumbleweeds won Best Taco in Tri-Cities in 2022, in addition to Visit Tri-Cities' prestigious Excellence in Customer Service Award in 2022. Keith is happy to be here to share ideas that contribute to a positive work culture and how keeping people at your focus can help you win. In the middle over there, Greg Kettner helps organizations work happy so that they can increase revenue, reduce stress, and create a culture of mental health mindfulness. He also is a world-class connector who has learned to work happy from hockey icon Wayne Gretzky, comedian Robin Williams, and Queen Elizabeth II. Over his 27-year sales career, he has sold over $12 million in products and services for such companies as Business Objects, SAP, the Vancouver Canucks, and a tiny shoe company called Nike. And he will tell us how we can work happy too, which has been his childhood dream. Fernando Jerich, did I get it right? I'm just getting close, right? Has been working in commercial interiors for over 25 years for both manufacturers and distributors. In 2018, he acquired a family-owned distributor in Spokane and moved his wife and 2 daughters to the region. He rebranded the company to Freeform, modernizing the business into a design-centric interior furnishings supplier. After merging with Business Interiors of Idaho in 2022, Fernando and Freeform affirmed their commitment to local philanthropy, the environment, and employees by becoming Spokane's 8th registered B Corp. In March of 2023, Freeform acquired Brutzmann's Office Solutions, who has served the Tri-Cities area for over 70 years. Freeform attributes their explosive growth to their people-first mentality. They value relationships with their employers, their customers, and their community. Fernando is a recent graduate of the 2023 class of Leadership Spokane, and he is active in several philanthropic groups, chambers of commerce, and professional groups serving architecture, design, and commercial building industries. Holly Sowards was born and raised in the Tri-Cities. She attended WSU in Vancouver, receiving her bachelor's with specific emphasis in management, operations, human resources, and finance. She's also a graduate of Leadership Tri-Cities, class 18. Way to go. Holly grew up in a family with an entrepreneurial mindset, which has helped her to understand the importance of customer service. It's also helped her look for innovative ways to enhance the overall experience families have when they come to any of the Sunset Gardens group of companies. With over 22 years of customer service experience, Holly is passionate about helping people and is always looking for ways to serve her community. She's been leading the team at Enan's for over 10 years now and recognizing she has found her purpose in life, guiding families in the community through grief, creating an environment of healing, and making sure every family has a unique experience is what she is most passionate about. It is the hardest yet most rewarding job she has ever had. And knowing that you've helped someone on their toughest days makes all the hard work worth it. So let's welcome our panel.
Hello there. My name is Keith Boone. Together, my wife and I own Tumbleweeds Restaurant in Richland. We also own Tumbleweeds Food Truck, which is our newest expansion endeavor this year, and it has been crazy busy. As mentioned in the bio, we've been in business for 23 years. We currently sit at 19 employees. We are going to do about $1.25 million in sales this year, which is outstanding, breaking all records. I'm honored to be here, thrilled to be on the stage, and thrilled to be the opening act for these experts. While I'm here, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about people, and in our 23 years of service, how treating people affects how your business correlates to the community. It's no secret I have not done public speaking, so this is a first for me. It has been said that life is really not that complicating. It's the people that make it interesting. In our 23 years of service, we have found that the business landscape needs to be focused on people in order to win. Who are those people? The people are those customers whom you're directly interfacing with at your business. Those customers or those people whom your product impacts. Those employees are also those at your, those people are also those at your employer choose to work with you. Most of my inspiration is going to be from personal experiences and a few books that I'll reference in a coming slide. I didn't go to college. I don't have anything to cite except for my years of experience in our restaurant. It was my first job. It's all I know. Particularly when I talk about personal experiences, the things that and where I learn the most is in the interviewing and hiring process when somebody's in our business seeking employment. And it's in this personal exchange where I learn about where they came from, where they're going, what their goals are, what their ambitions are, and most importantly, what their expectations are in a place of employment. I find that their feedback there helps steer me in what we do as leaders in our business. And they offer plenty of examples of excellent things that you should do, things they cite as positive. And they also offer examples of negative things that you should not do. There's a reason they're in front of you and they're leaving another employer. I'm always interested in what are those things? Why are you leaving? What is it about that place? And how can we meet your expectations moving forward? As mentioned before, most of my inspiration is coming from those personal experiences. With that in mind, however, I'd like to share with you a book that has made a lasting impact on me and how I choose to interact with people, hire, employ, and community service. This book, if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it, is The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. The simple takeaway of this book is that your success will be a reflection of how abundantly you put other people's interest above your own. Operating from a people first perspective, I feel makes a huge difference in how people admire you, how they respect you, and it comes back twofold. And the book is a perfect illustration of that. Highly recommend reading that. Insights from this book, as well as my personal experiences, have helped us cultivate a business philosophy that I employ, which I call never say no unless you say no problem. I realize there's some literature against this that says know when to say no. But for me, I'm preaching this never say no unless you say no problem philosophy. This is a bit of a admittedly derivative from the Chick-fil-A philosophy, which you might know that's like my pleasure. So if you've ever been into a Chick-fil-A, they hold the standard for customer service, and almost all of their interactions have my pleasure as the feedback. That's when they're dealing with customers directly. That's also when they're dealing amongst themselves in the kitchen. It's admirable. And so my tilt of that is never say no unless you say no problem. In business, you'll often hear in a company mission statement or a corporate standard this phrase where they say, we strive to meet or exceed expectations. And that is beautiful. I believe it 100%. The only problem with that I see is that you don't know those expectations. You think you know, you want to know, you desire to know, but it's still this elusive thing that is unknown. It's also something that is ever changing. And so you can't have the goal of exceeding expectations if the expectations are not known. And so this never say no unless you say no problem has been woven into the training of our staff, which is whatever the customer is asking, whatever the employee is asking, no problem, I got you. It meets them where they are in that moment and fills their cup, if you will. This works for customer service, training your employees, but this also works for employing employees as well. When they know that you will support them in what's important to them. So they have the adoration, or they have the confidence to come to me and say, I need next Friday off because my friend's coming into town I haven't seen in a year. No problem, I got you. Which is a far cry from some other places that are like, no, that's our deadline, we need you here, etc. And I think it builds and fosters togetherness, and it knows that we're all on the same level, we're all humans, and we're all just trying to navigate this together. I believe personally that this business philosophy of mine has helped us have much lower turnover rates and much higher retention rates, to get back to the point of the speech here. With these experiences in mind from the book that I mentioned before, and some of this philosophy integrated into our business, I thought that it would be best to go directly to some of the people at my employ to ask them, what's it like to work at Tumbleweeds? Give me a word or two about what's a good character quality in the culture of Tumbleweeds, a little explanation, and then as a group here, we can kind of all reflect on it. So I'll first introduce you to Kimmy. Kimmy's been with us since 2021, and I asked Kimmy, what's it about Tumbleweeds that keeps you coming back here? And I say to people every time they come back, oh man, you came back, that's awesome, glad to have you. Her word is acceptance, and in her own words, I've never felt like I can be my authentic self at another workplace. When I walk through the doors, I don't have to mask who I am, I can just be me. Kimmy came to us from a grocery store that she worked at for 5 years, and she recalls feeling unvalued and unseen. And she cites a particular reason why she left as coming up on holiday season, the management put a sign next to the scheduling desk that said, no time off request during this holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And it spoke to her because she was hoping to have some time off to be with her family for the holidays. And it was in that moment and in that experience that she said, I'm not valued here. I'm not respected here, and I need to go elsewhere. Kimmy's experience for me paints a picture of something that we should not do as leaders in our business. We should not put company scheduling preferences over people's needs, but more broadly, we shouldn't put company needs over employees' needs. So back to before, it's a good example of something not to do, and learning those lessons of the negatives that we're turning into positives in our store. The next person I'd like to introduce you to is Abby. She's been with us since 2022, and for her, her word is family. And in her own words, I personally love the fact that Tumbleweeds isn't just a job, it's also a family. I love that Keith's made his business a little family that we can all count on. For Abby, and the reason that she comes back, is the symbolism of family in the culture that we're creating at our store. She feels needed and wanted, much like your mother in your own house. And that's super powerful. That's hard to create, but it's part and parcel to why she's with us, why she stays, and why she enjoys working there. She has undoubtedly become one of the moms of our team, of our kitchen. She's a favorite to confide in, and her life experience has added value to our team. The next person that I'd like to introduce you to is Annabelle. Annabelle is our longest standing employee. She's been with us since 2013. Her word is positive motivation. And in her own words, I feel like working at Tumbleweeds has not only motivated me to become the best employee I can be, but also person. It's inspiring to work with someone who can do it all and have an awesome attitude. And she added to that her favoritism, which there's not, and all of her special projects. Annabelle is a very creative person. She appreciates being able to help with community projects and events, and she takes the lead in creative direction, and it has fostered this decision-making leadership role within our store. And Annabelle's feedback paints a picture of something that you should do. You should scout those qualities in your employees and use them to the best advantage of your business. Let them shine in their strengths. And with this creativity that Annabelle brings to the table, it allows us to better serve our customers and meet them where they are. I do believe that her creativity will reaffirm and support the decision-making, and that will foster trust within our team, and that will ultimately be better for our culture as a whole. This is Brenton. Brenton is in the back row. Hey, Brenton, how you doing? His word is growth and opportunity. He's been with us since 2017. And in his own words, I'm continuously learning at Tumbleweeds, whether to be about how to run a business, how to treat people with compassion and understanding. Also have the chance to grow as an employee, manager, and overall human being under mentorship and leadership. He also made this slide for me because I didn't know how to make a PowerPoint slide, which I'm so thankful for. So thank you. Brenton has steadily climbed the ladder at Tumbleweeds, quickly moving from supervisor to manager, most currently food truck lead. And it's this growth and opportunity that's important to him. Brenton's time at Tumbleweeds can be used to illustrate something that we should do as leaders. We should delegate responsibility to those whom have chosen to work with us. They want to help. And to the contrary, we shouldn't micromanage those responsibilities that we delegate. We need to acknowledge to our team that we need them, regular reassurances and affirmations that they're wanted, needed, and that they're helping. The last thing that I'd like to talk to you about is kind of an ongoing community. I don't even know what to call this. It's an animal. It's an ongoing community project that we're continuously working on, always as a team together forever. And it's something that we've coined community over competition. I'm certain that we didn't think of that hashtag, but we have assumed the hashtag, so it is mine now. I have said it and it is. And so anyway, this really started during COVID when businesses were struggling immensely just to sustain lives. And to have a people first service type mentality, it isn't cool to have a successful business doing well to watch everybody else, burning around me. So what we did is we used the infrastructure of our business, our marketing strategies, our email marketing, our text marketing, our expansive social media reach. And we basically committed ourselves to being a community come together place that they can use and trust in line with the book Go Giver, and no problem, that I got you. What can I do for you? How can we help? We got you. And so this has turned into things such as community flash mobs, where we basically tell everybody in our circle, let's go support this business today. And so my son Carter's back there too. Hi Carter, picture up there. This was us visiting Bangkok. We went to Dagupan Grill. These are places where to this day, even though this was years ago, to this day, people still say some of the best places in Tri-Cities I found has been because of your active community flash mob situation. And it has undoubtedly made an impact and made a difference in these people's lives. And as far as I'm concerned, mission accomplished. Community over competition for me is still in service of people, extends beyond the walls of our business and allows us to serve with purpose outside of the four walls of our business. Customer service boils down to the service of people. Overall, treating people with respect is what it is all about. And as long as you keep people the focus of your decision-making, then that's how you're gonna win. And that's all I got. I'd like to introduce you to Holly Soberts.
Thank you.
Here you are.
Okay, let's see if we can do all these things. So not gonna lie, last night I'm practicing this presentation and it wasn't vibing with me or flowing, so I ditched all of it and started over. So yeah, I don't know what you're gonna get today, but I just decided I'm gonna be real and just speak from the heart. So I'm gonna talk to you today about how our company uses humor to keep our team motivated and pumped up, which sounds a little weird since I run a funeral home. But humor is one of our values and we live it up and we actually love it up. That's one of our new hashtags. But please, as I go through this, make no mistake, we take our work very serious. It's sacred to us, but we do use humor to shine light and keep our mental state healthy. So that we can serve the grieving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I don't know how we could do what we do without having a little bit of fun behind the scenes. And I'll be honest, working in the funeral profession is a tough gig. It's intense, emotional, and requires a lot of personal sacrifice. It's stressful and challenging, and it's the hardest job I've ever had. It's also the most passionate I've ever been about any work I've ever done. So helping someone on one of their worst days is an honor. And I believe that the reason I'm so called to serve in the capacity that I do at Neenan's is because of the culture that we've created and the ability that we give our team to have freedom to live our values every day. So I'm gonna start this presentation the way we start our day with a little bit of humor. So enjoy. Sorry that didn't work, but that was a fun little TikTok that Tiffany made for us. We make these throughout the year and play them at our Christmas party. So we can kind of relive all the moments that happen throughout the year. Building a team like we have is a daily process and requires commitment from leadership and our team. And it hasn't always been this way. So in 2014, when I started, we did not have a mission, vision, or values defined for our company. It created a lot of misunderstandings, and our leadership team, which I had recently joined, knew that we needed to make changes. And it was not an easy process. But that year we put in the hard work with Paul Casey. We redefined our mission, vision, and values, and our team is developed what you see on the screen now. And then leadership made a commitment to build a culture that was defined by those. One of the most valuable results of this exercise was that everyone in our entire organization realized that we were all here for the same reason, and it was to serve and to celebrate life. Today, we choose to do things for and with our team to live all of this out. And it's a daily process, like all day, every day. And for our team, it starts with the morning meeting. It's a valuable tool that reminds us through the simple act of walking through the families that we're serving on our calendar, that we're all here to serve. And you can see that I have people in multiple buildings all across the Tri-Cities. And so they're either calling in, zooming in, however it may be, but we're all participating in the morning meeting. A few months ago, we started a small, we call it a journal sesh on Wednesdays. So after this morning meeting, we take 5 minutes and we write down what we're grateful for, what would make the day great, and an affirmation for the day. And it was so popular that the next week, when we forgot that we were gonna do this every Wednesday, they were like, where's the journal session, you know? And so we delegated that to Amanda, who's our newest funeral director, and she owns that like every Wednesday, like a boss. She's prepared every Wednesday. And then it wouldn't be normal for us if we didn't add a little humor. So after gratitude, we bring out what we call the tattle box. So we're going back to high school, folks. We have a tattle box, and it's located in our break room. And I brought one to share. We're all about starting our day out positive and ending our day positive, because we deal with a lot of tough stuff. So this is the tattle form, super simple. This event happened on June 29th, and it says what happened. And it says Amanda didn't know who Kurt Cobain was, which offended me. As a Washingtonian, she should be ashamed. And then it says, did you talk to them? And it says yes. And then it says what happened, and it says she then continued to pronounce Nirvana and Norvina. So everyone got to hear that out loud. So I also brought a gratitude box with me today. So that box sits in our lobby, and our team is encouraged to share gratitude throughout the month. On the first Thursday of every month, we meet as an entire team in person and serve breakfast. Part of our ritual during this time is to read the notes from the box. So I pass them all out. We all read them out loud. And I'll just share one that I pulled out of the box today. It says, I'm thankful for the opportunity to work with a strong team work family that supports each other as we serve our community in a difficult industry. We are the light in a dark space. It is an honor. And so the way that we handle it after we read them is if it has a name that was called out, we give it to that person. If it's like a team deal, we post them in our main office so that we can see them. And then I just encourage the team to keep those, because we do have tough days. Just like everybody, we're human. But when we have those tough days, we pull these notes out, because it's in those moments that we need to be reminded why we're here. So I have a giant stack of them, and so does everybody else, and we read them regularly. There's days that we definitely feel like, you know, maybe this is our day to throw in the towel, you know, it's hard, but those keep us going. This is our wow wall. So with permission from families, we like to display some of the creative work our team does for families. Our families love seeing the unique ways we can celebrate life. And then our team really appreciates that we display their work for the public to see. Bristol's our lead funeral director. I did some of what Keith did. I kind of went around and was like, why do you like working here? What brings you back? Our running joke is if you come back on day 2, we did a good job. We didn't scare you on day 1. So we're glad you're back for day 2. But I asked her, you know, what do you like about working here? And she said, I love the creative freedom leadership gives us to create unique experiences for the families we're serving. So we try really hard to make sure that they have some freedom to make decisions when they're working with people, to just make something special. Like they don't have to come out and ask for permission every single time. They just do it. And if we have an issue, we'll let them know and we'll grow from there. COVID was a huge barrier for all of us. So in our business, families were losing loved ones at an expedited rate. And we had to watch so many families postpone closure, mourning, and the comfort of others. And that just honestly goes against everything that we believe in, because we're all about together and celebrating life and honoring everybody. Having said that, we never gave up. Instead, we found ways to serve families in the most creative ways possible, and our team ran with it. They were never afraid, they just embraced it every step of the way. The heart-wrenching, hard, emotional days that our team knows and accepts as part of our ability to serve our community can easily cause burnout or strife. And during COVID, we stepped up our efforts to share gratitude, trained on anything we could use to benefit families, and encourage the team to take their creativity to the next level. So that's what you see here. Our team found a way to help this family by hosting a campfire in our chapel. There's like fire pit and all. Turned that bad boy into a campground. And then we live streamed it so everyone could participate. And I'm sharing this because through COVID, we still found ways to allow families to breathe and heal. Because we take the time to get to know our team, we can tell when they're off instantly. Like I can tell when I walk in the morning if someone's got something going on, and I instantly address it. Because I'm a big one that thrives off of people's energy, and I don't like poo-poo attitudes. So it's like, if you're gonna have a poo-poo attitude, go home, you know, and when you're ready to come back, come back. But most of the time, what they need from us is just like a lending ear or some advice, or just providing a space for them to vent. We have a cry couch in my office. We call it cry couch, therapy couch, however, depending on what we're talking about. But we just try to help them find a positive, even in a negative situation. It takes our time to create this space, which, as many of you know, we don't have enough hours in a day a lot of times to get all the things done that we need to do. So it can be challenging if it's person after person that needs you for something like this. But I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, if you take the time, they leave with a better mindset and attitude, which impacts their performance directly for the positive. So this is my team. And without the connection that we have, as well as our shared vision, we wouldn't be able to celebrate moments like this. So this year, our cemetery was awarded Washington State Cemetery of the Year. And we had a blast celebrating everyone in our company at the last staff meeting. And I think by the look on their faces, you can tell they were all thrilled that we were able to recognize and kind of make a big deal about it. Some more of my people, we host 2 big staff events each year. One is kind of in the summertime and one is around the holidays. So for us, it's weird. I don't know why it happens this way, but these times of years are normally the most busy for us. So more people tend to pass away when it's really hot or severe weather changes and or around holidays. So it seems counterintuitive to plan massive staff events during this time, but we believe like that's when we need it the most. So this is our summer carnival, and it turned out incredible. Crystal, our lead funeral director, came to me and said, "Hey, can I help plan the summer party? Like, I would love to get more involved with this." And so we said, "Heck yeah, that would be great." And I just helped her with setting a budget, provided guidance when she needed help, removed any barriers she had, and then I just supported her and she crushed it, and the team had a blast. I mean, it's probably the best company summer party we've had. These are some of my people at Christmas time. So we definitely like to let loose. We dance, laugh, sing, and most likely TikTok videos get created as a result of all the fun. So I am not a dancer, so congratulations, you got to see me moving. Also, you know, we try to make sure that we're celebrating the team all the time. So sometimes we think like, are we too much? They want to hang out for like another staff event. Are we doing this too much? Would they rather be home with their family? And so this is a picture of us taking our entire company and their families to a hockey night. And so the cool thing about this is I don't think that they're sick of us because we took 100 people. I don't think they would respond so well to these events if they didn't have a great relationship with each other. So we really are just like a big giant family. Know your people is important to me and the way that I lead. And there's so many ways that you can do this. So, I mean, we talk to our staff all the time. But in addition to that, we've done a couple quizzes like the 5-minute personality test and the languages of appreciation in the workplace. And it's always eye-opening to me, and it ultimately helps our team work together and communicate better. So a lot of times with the personality test, when we reflect on that, they're like, okay, that's why so-and-so responded to the way that they did, and next time I can communicate with them in this way, and I'll probably get a better response. And then what was really cool about the workplace language is like, I always thought like it's all about money and they want more money and they need more this or that, but it was really cool to see that 98% of the team, they just want to be acknowledged. They want words of affirmation. Like that's their jam. Yes, money's important, don't get me wrong, right? But the second most popular thing was acts of service. So they just, when they ask for help, they want you to help them. So I really spend a lot of my time making sure that I give credit when credit is due, and that when the team asks me for help, I help them. A fun example is I was passing by one day, I overheard my bookkeeper just like dreaming with another employee. It would be like she wanted to have an office with a view, right? And so she was in an office that had no window. The opportunity came, I moved her office to an office with a window, and I don't know, but the smile that she has on her face, that she still has on her face, is priceless. So, and she earned it, 1,000%. I'm running low on time, big shocker. This is just showing you how we communicate with our different people. So we have a transfer team, they're on call 24/7. The best way to communicate with them is via text. So shift changes at 6 a.m. And my office manager starts out with a meme that basically says, hey guys, it's 6 a.m., let's get the day going. Normally, this goes out to like 12 plus people every morning. Normally, my phone goes off every morning, like 25 plus times, because everybody starts chiming back in and coming up with other memes. They're laughing and having fun. That would drive me bonkers. But normally Monday through Friday, I'm like, okay, they're ready to rock. Let's do this. The other thing is turn your team members into owners. Let them own some tasks, let them own their work. This is a ceremony that we've been doing for years, but because we let our staff get involved, they have enhanced it year over year, and we've had the most attendance ever at this last butterfly release. This is another event called Tree of Remembrance that another one of our employees came to us and said, hey, I want to start an annual ceremony for families who are experiencing their first holiday without their loved one. Can I do this? The answer is yes. How can I help? And we set it up. This year is going to be our second one. Hannah, another one of my employees, lost her brother by suicide. She came and said, can I start an event during Suicide Awareness Month to help families that are going through this? We said, yes. How can we help? She no longer works here. And I thought this could be an easy one to lose in the mix. But then Karen came and said, hey, I want to help. I want to keep this going. Can I do it? Absolutely. She's working on the details to finalize that all right now. Let's see here. So I guess my big point here, and then I'm going to wrap it up, is when your team feels like they own their work, they show up for you in ways that you would never imagine. Most of the time, when we say we need help, they're lined up to take it on. So develop your team into owners. Don't be intimidated to surround yourself with people that are better than you. That was hard for me at first. And stop fretting over not delegating in the fear of adding more to their plate. 99% of the time, they're willing to step up.
I seriously don't know.
So I'm out of time. So I'm gonna go to this last one and end on a positive. This is Tiffany and Brad.
We'll send you the PowerPoint, so hopefully those videos will play in there.
Yeah. All right, Fernando's up. Here's your clicker.
All right, I'm Fernando Dresch with Freeform. So before my time in the industry 25 years ago, I was mainly working in nonprofits. So I came into the industry with kind of a service mentality to begin with. But then when I bought the distributor that became Freeform 5 years ago, I brought with me some insights from my time as a regional market manager, where I called on other distributors. And when you call on a lot of businesses, you can see which ones are successful, which ones are not, and see some common themes. And the common theme among successful distributors was the people were happy, everything seemed to work out, and they made money. And because happy people take care of their customers and they take care of their company. And so when I came to Spokane and took over the distributorship, that was my primary concern is what they need. I think that's a thorough point that you see in all the presentations is that everyone has a service mentality. And those are our favorite customers to work with. So how can you meet your employee needs with informed spaces? So who's seen this before? Raise your hand if you know what this is. All right, my fellow psychology nerds. This is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So the basic, your 2-minute psychology lecture is that you can't be happy until your base needs are met, right? So you're not gonna be worried about your self-esteem if you can't get water or food, if you're not safe, if you don't feel like you belong to a group, if you don't, and as you climb this pyramid, you're greater and greater happiness. So that was his theory, is that the higher the pyramid, these are met, the happier those people are. So how do we apply that to space? We're trying to meet people's needs. How does space apply to people's needs? So for starters, let's start with our basic needs. So that'd be the practical needs of the space, right? Air, good lighting, some restrooms, and then it can scale up even better. HVAC air is good, but if we could open up a garage door and have outside air, it'd be even better. Light is good, but sunlight is better, right? There's better lighting, flickering lights are bad. You can have a break room, but maybe you could have a wellness room for pumping, naps, that sort of thing, personal calls. Above that is the functional needs of the workplace, right? So you're gonna have, there's certain things that need to happen. In fact, when we talk about people first spaces, and we're designing people first spaces, well, what's the counter to people first space? Well, the function comes first, or the activity comes first. This is a meeting space, we meet here, or this is a break room space, we break here. Or sometimes the ego of the owner comes first, right? I want an opulent place that reflects how great I am. So people first space, would meet the functional needs, but with their mind of how the people are gonna use it, right? How do people use those spaces? And then there's the social needs of the space. So creating spaces that accommodate gatherings, meetings, and what we call casual collisions, unplanned interactions, which can be one of the most useful things a company can plan for, is how do I make sure that Debbie in accounting runs into Dave in marketing, and maybe they come up with a great idea together, because otherwise they might have not interacted. And then beyond that is esteem, something Holly showed wonderfully in her space. No surprise that someone that has a service mentality is already ahead of us. And in these kind of ideas is expressing achievement in the space, allowing for celebration. And then beyond that, self-actualization. This is the biggest shift in generations, in that people used to trade hours for dollars. You know, if you ask the guy that worked at a GM plant what he did, he would probably say something like, I watch baseball, or what he did on his own time. He didn't tell you what he did for work. Now people identify with their work. It's part of who they are, and they want to have a tie to that place. And so experiencing the brand that they work with, the values that they work with at the workplace is part of that self-actualization and self-fulfillment. So what does that look like? It's a lot of talk. How can you make that happen? Or how can you partner with someone like us or with an architect or designer to do that? It's a big investment to remodel a space often, and we take that responsibility really seriously, and so should you. You don't want to get it wrong. It's a lot of money in the line. So the practical needs, again, sliding scale, how you can have good air, lights, a restroom in that space, a well-designed space that brings the outside in, connection to nature, improvement to show that it has a calming effect, relieves stress. Maybe like a aforementioned wellness room space. The functional needs, we might need some barriers for reception. We need some meeting spaces. We need a work area. We need some place to store our stuff. Maybe we need a place to make a personal phone call, yell at our kids.
Is this how your office actually looks?
These are how offices that we furnish look. Actually, I should have put some pictures, some photos of our space. We actually do have a private phone booth where you can discuss all your medical needs with your doctor. Or we also have a wellness room in our space as well. So social needs would be any kind of gathering space. So we typically just think of meeting rooms, but what we ask is, what's happening in that meeting? So the meeting room where it's very formal is appropriate if you want your people on their P's and Q's and not saying something dumb in front of a very important customer. But you don't want them on their P's and Q's in a creative collaborative meeting, right? Then you want it very casual, you maybe want a living room environment, you want people to feel free and barriers low. So when people say I need a meeting room, what does that mean? What are you accomplishing? That's a people first space, right? Whereas most people think a meeting room has tables and chairs, or this is a meeting, this is a training room, right? What are you accomplishing in that space? And then that space to allow for casual collisions where maybe people didn't plan to meet, but they connect with someone, sit down. Higher up on the Maslow hierarchy of needs would be expressing achievement in the space. This can be done through branding, through wow walls, through an area that accommodates celebration. And then beyond that is connecting the experience of the workplace with the people that live there or that work there. I mean, practically live at work. It's where you spend the second most amount of time, right? So you want it to be, you don't want your house to not reflect who you are. Most people want their business to be some reflection of who they are. So whether that's some kind of branding for brand, what they mean, what they do in the community, what their culture is, through well-executed design or through the mission of the place that they work for. So if you're deeply attached to the mission of the place that you work for, then that should be branded throughout the space. And this is what keeps people from leaving a space when they feel personally connected to a space. I will say that of everybody speaking here, what I do is the least important by far, because people will leave a beautiful workspace if it's a toxic work environment, but they will stay in a terrible environment if they feel really connected to the mission. One of the best places I got to tour as part of Leadership Spokane was the medical examiner's office. No, the forensic science office. They're literally in a basement with flickering lights. It's kind of scary. But they help solve crimes and bring peace to people, and they're super connected to their mission. Those people are going to stay there no matter how terrible their cubicles are. And they're pretty bad. But they'll leave a beautiful space if you create a toxic environment. So I think that a lot of times when we create beautiful spaces with our customers, it's because they come to us with the right attitude. It's a service. How can I serve my people? Not how can I create something opulent or do something as cheaply as possible. It's what's going to serve my people the most.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here. You're my kind of people who want to put their employees before profits. And I think that's what has made a lot of us successful when we put our people first, give them the power to work, have them make the decision. And today I want to share and leave a couple things with you. How do we work happy? Specifically the power of laughter. Like Paul mentioned, I've done stand-up comedy, I've done sales for 27 years. But I've really found that when we laugh, we connect with people. And when we connect with people, our hearts are opened up. And when our hearts are opened up, that's where change really happens within our organizations, within our friend group, and certainly within our families. A lot of people will tell you that laughter is the best medicine. And that's not true if you have diarrhea. Trust me. That's.
Did you find this out today? Did you find this out today?
No.
No.
That's the only crappy joke I have, but it's true. When we laugh, we connect with people. One of my heroes is Robin Williams, and he once said, everyone is fighting a battle we know nothing about. Always be kind. And that is always struck with me, because we never know what's going on with other people's lives, where they're at. Maybe somebody took their cat, something's going wrong at home. So let's be more kind, let's be more empathetic. And he taught me a very valuable lesson. About 10 years ago, I was doing stand-up comedy for about 6 months in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was a Tuesday night, and there were 7 people in the bar. There was a bartender, 5 comics, 1 girlfriend, and that was it. So nobody paid any money to come see us. We all had 5 minutes. But we were working on our bits to try and get to the next show and move up. And there was a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock. I was on the 7 o'clock show. Cause I was a rookie, so I had 5 minutes of part food jokes. I was well on my way. So again, the bar is empty. Halfway through my set, the door opened up at the back and in walked my hero, Robin Williams. In my head, oh my God, this is my hero. How am I gonna connect with this guy? So I finished up my set, and as I walked off the stage, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna pretend that I have no idea who he is and see what happens. So he came in, he sat down, had a beer, and he started laughing at my jokes. I'm like, this is crazy, but I'm gonna try it. So I got done. I went, sat down beside him, and I said, hey, my name's Greg. And he's like, hey, I'm Robin. I'm like, that's cool. Where are you from town? He's like, no, I'm here filming that at the museum. I was like, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Are you the camera guy? You hold the microphone? Are you in catering? And he kind of looked at me like, well, how the hell does John Goodman have no idea who I am? And so we just kept on talking, right? I just wanted to know more about him. And he told me he was from San Francisco. And I told him what I was doing and whatnot. And we went back and forth. And finally, he said something to me that I'll never forget. And he said, Greg, always make people laugh, because you'll never know the difference you make in their lives. And I heard what he said, but I didn't know until a couple of years later what he actually meant. So we continued talking, and finally said, you know, I know who you are, I'm a big fan. And he said, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's great. So we're sitting there, we're waiting for the 9 o'clock show to start. And the guy comes up to Rob and says, hey, we would love for you to do some time if you want to get up. And Robin's like, well, yeah, sure. I said, do you have jokes prepared? Like, he's like, I got this, Greg. So Robin Williams went up at 10 o'clock. He was the last guy on the late show. He went up at 10 o'clock. He finished at 12:30. 2.5 hours, best night of my life. Now the bar is packed. The bouncers are charging $20 to get in. There's 200 people. It was a fantastic show. And I'll never forget that, because we laughed together and we connected. I had no idea who this guy was before that night. Well, I knew who he was, but I had no connection with him. Made him laugh. 2 nights later, I was walking to another show with my buddy, Ian, and I had not told him the story. And about 100 yards from the comedy club, Ian starts elbowing me in the ribs. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, look, it's Robin Williams. So I looked up and I'm like, Robin, and Robin's like, Greg, how's it going? And Ian pooped his pants. It's totally awesome, right? So here we are, the three of us having this conversation. Robin's like, what are you doing? We're like, hey, we're doing another show. It's an open mic. And he said, do you think I can get some stage time? I said, I think you can, but let me go check. And here's what he said. He goes, don't tell him it's Robin Williams. Just say, hey, you got a buddy in town. This is how cool the guy was. So I went down and I said, hey, I have a friend out of town. And the guy running the club said, well, is he funny? I said, yeah. And he goes, because if he's not, you're not going to get stage time. And I said, well, yeah, I'll probably be headlining in a couple months. So we came downstairs, walked into the green room. And again, here's how cool he was. Walked into the green room with all these other headliners and professionals, Ian and I. And he said, hey, everybody, I'm Robin Williams. And everybody's like, yeah, we know. And he goes, have you met my friends, Ian and Greg? Like, that's how cool the guy was, right? And we laughed, we connected. And he passed by suicide as well, too. So he had his struggles, but when he was here, he made people laugh. And speaking of that, mental health, who here has not suffered at all from any sort of mental health or anxiety or burnout in the last 3 years? All right, we're on the same page, right? We've all gone through something, and a lot of people, when they hear mental health, they think maybe suicide or institutionalized, but it can be anywhere from mild anxiety, overwhelm, burnout, or I just don't feel like going to work, right? So it's a wide range, and we don't talk about it. A study by Lyra Healthcare System, 8 out of 10 people in the workforce, 80% of us in this room would not go and talk to somebody about mental health. That's the stats across the board, right? But if we do, if we have a conversation with HR, a coworker, a family member, or whatnot, it's amazing what will happen, because we're all going through life together and we're here to help each other. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, but I have the ability to connect with people. So after I talk, people will come up and say, here's my story. How do I go and talk to my boss or my manager about my anxiety? 42.5 million are dealing with anxiety in the US every year, right? That's a lot of people. So we're not alone. Everybody's dealt with it at some point, but when you have that anxiety, if we don't reach out, that's when we really suffer. We don't get the help that we need. And I don't know where I heard this, but it's really hard to read the label on a jar when you're sitting inside, right? So if you don't know where to go or the next step, we go talk to a counselor or a therapist. They're there to help us out so we can move on and be better. And then over 500 billion in the US, North America, a year is lost due to stress. That's a lot of money left on the table, right? And if we're functioning better, if we're working happy, we're 18% more productive. If you're in sales, happy salespeople sell 37% more than non-happy salespeople, right? So just by creating an environment where we can work happy. And part of that, a couple of things we can do is, just even for our mindset, whether it's meditation or breathing or timeouts, whatever we need, but if we take time. But again, the story about Robin Williams is when we laugh with each other, we connect, right? It starts to form a bond. We can have further conversations and go from there. A couple years later, can you pass me on water, Holly? A couple years after the Robin Williams, I was working for SAP. We're down in Las Vegas at our biggest company event, which was a sales kickoff. There's 4,000 people from around North America. And on this Wednesday night, it was our annual sales award banquet. So 3 hours, the #1 salesperson in the company got a brand new Porsche. The house band with Lenny Kravitz. So I don't know what the budget was, probably a little bit more than today. But it was a big deal, right?
Fixing that check out there.
Yeah. So, and every year they hired a comedian to MC this 3-hour event. I'm at the back of the room, we're in the Bellagio Hotel, 4,000 people. I was at a table. I didn't know anybody yet, hadn't met him yet. The MC got up, and 7 minutes into a 3-hour program. He said something so horrible that they cut the microphone. The lights came on, Lenny started playing. It was very awkward, like even more so than it is right now. It was just a weird feeling. So I'm at the back of the room going, wow, I would not want to follow that guy at all. And so we're sitting there, and about 5 minutes after this whole thing happened, he walked off the stage, threw his microphone down, kind of had a tantrum. It was weird. So about 5 minutes after, over the PA system, a voice said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're so sorry for what just happened, but we're going to be restarting the entire program in 15 minutes. And if anyone knows where Greg Kettner is, we need to talk to him." That's when I froze. I was like, how much was I drinking last night? And who was I hanging out with? I thought I was getting fired. So I didn't say anything, right? And about 5 minutes later, they said again, if anyone knows where Greg is or his phone number, we need to talk to him. And that's when my former friend Trevor came running from 3 tables over and said, "Hey, dude, they want you to go do stand-up." So now he outed me. So they dragged me up. It felt like a mile. But I got backstage and I said, "Hey, I'm Greg, how can I help?" And they said, "We heard you do stand-up comedy. We need you to go up and do 15 minutes. And that's what I thought. I had 2 decisions. I could have said no, or I could have said yes. And I said yes, because I needed a story to tell you guys today. So they were gearing me up, and the biggest room I'd been in before that was probably about 30 people. So they've had a microphone on me. I'm standing backstage. I'm scared spitless, but I'm like, let's say yes and figure it out. So the gentleman walks out before me to introduce me. He says, "Hey, lucky for us, one of our own is a stand-up comedian." I'm like, who the hell is he talking about? And he had this great introduction for me, brought me out on stage. I stumbled out to a standing ovation because I got up and I said yes. I was just in the crowd, and here I was doing 15 minutes of stand-up. And I didn't know what to say, so I found my spot. I said, "Hey, everybody, my name is Greg Kettner, and I can't do any worse than the last guy." And right there I had him, right? We're all on board, we're laughing. And I did 12 or 13 minutes of stand-up, and I saw the clock on the front. It was getting to the end, and I had an idea, because that year, if you hit a certain sales number, you got to go on a $10,000 cruise for you and a guest. It was through Turkey, Italy, and Greece. And I did not have good sales numbers that year, so I was nowhere near the boat, but I was helping out the company. And so I asked, I said, "Hey, I didn't hit my number this year, but is there any way I can get on the boat?" And a gentleman from the front row stood up, came up to the stage, said, "Kid, you're on the boat." I go, "This guy says I'm on the boat." The crowd went nuts and was like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm the president of SAP." I'm like, "Perfect." Yeah, 4,000 wins. I'm on the boat. But that's the thing with with laughter, right? When we laugh, we connect. When we connect, I connected with the people in Vegas and their hearts were open and I got a $10,000 cruise, which if my math is correct, 10,000 times 15 minutes, that's $40,000 an hour. And now here I am today. But it's great. So, a little bit on the mental health. Reach out when you need to. Ask for help. I know a lot of people don't like asking for help, but we have to, right? It's what we do. We need to, and it's not that scary. And trust me, 5 years ago, I would not talk about mental health, but now I do all the time because that is my mission. And when we talk to people, we have conversations, we help each other and we save lives. So ask for help. A couple of numbers, 988 is the suicide crisis helpline. If you want to call, there's somebody, a professional there that will help you. Or you can text the word HEAL to 741-741. So the younger generation is more texting, but here's a way to reach out. If you aren't comfortable reaching out at work, you can do it privately. You can go to your own private phone booth and have a conversation, if you will, those sorts of things. So here's what I understood what Robin Williams actually meant when he said, keep making people laugh. I was doing a show, MC at a hotel lobby bar Thursday night. 5 minutes into the set, a father and son walked in, sat in the front row, put their feet up on my stage, crossed their arms, and they were not having fun at all. And I thought, you know what, I need to give these people an opportunity to laugh. So I focused on these two dudes. And that's what I did. I made every joke as I could about them and whatnot. And then as the show went on and I brought other comics up, they started laughing and having a good time. After the show, I went up to him. I said, hey, how did you hear about the show? And the father said, well, my son and I have been walking past the show for the last 8 weeks, but we've been so tired, we go for dinner, we fall into bed, and go to sleep. I said, the last 8 weeks, what's going on? He said, well, my wife was diagnosed with brain cancer 8 weeks ago. And so we're down here, she's in the hospital across the street. And every day we take her to the doctors, we're there for her, visit her, do whatever we can to make her comfortable. And that's why we've been here for 8 weeks. And so I just asked the next logical question in my head. I turned to the son, I said, how's mom doing? And the son started to cry. And he said, mom passed away this morning. So here we are, after a stand-up comedy show, we'd laughed, we connected, our hearts were opened up. And now here's 3 dudes in a hotel lobby bar crying because he had lost his wife and the mother. And finally, the dad got it together and he said, you know what, Greg, thank you for making us laugh tonight. It's the first time in 8 weeks that we've felt somewhat normal. Right? When we laugh, we connect. When we connect, our hearts are opened up. When our hearts are opened up, we can have conversations and make a difference. And I'll never see that father and son, but they had a lasting impact on me. And I hope the laughter had a lasting impact on them. So 3 quick takeaways, and then I've got one more story to share about our family. Be more selfish, take care of ourselves, right? It's hard to take care of other people, help other people when we're not good ourselves. So make sure we're doing the things that we need to do. Laugh every day. Put it in your calendar, take 5 minutes. I know it's 2023. We have to be very HR conscientious, but there are a lot of cartoons, a lot of memes. If you go to my website, I do a Friday Funny every Friday. That's HR approved, but take time to laugh. And then also reach out and talk, right? It might seem scary, or if you ask somebody, hey, how are you doing? And that person goes, oh, great. Ask that question again, right? Because when you go, how are you doing? Great. That's just a way to get rid of the conversation. But if it's somebody you know, you can say, no, really, how are you doing? I've got 5 minutes. What's going on? That lowers the wall and gives us the opportunity to have a conversation and then try and help that person and direct them saying, you know what, I go to therapy. Oh, really? Okay, well, if you can go to therapy, maybe I can too. So I'll end with this. This is my family. Obviously me on this side. Brian Regan, I don't know if any of you watch Ryan Regan or follow him, but go see him. We saw him here at the Toyota Center 5 years ago. So Rachel absolutely loves Brian Regan, and so does Becky. Rachel can remember every punchline of Brian Regan's, but she can't remember to feed the dog on the way out to school. I don't know, probably only my kid. But Rachel's my stepdaughter and then my wife Becky. So we had tickets, and because of my connections through stand-up comedy, I got to meet and greet with Brian backstage. So we got to the stadium and I said, hey, Rachel, I want to show you where I work. So we went downstairs and I said, hey, that's my office door, just knock on it. She knocked on the door, Brian Regan opened up the door and said, Rachel, thank you so much for coming to my show. It was so cool, right? Because he wowed us. He didn't have to do anything. So we had a 5-10-minute conversation, went to get our tickets at the box office. And Ryan did a real awesome thing. He switched the tickets I had bought and gave us the three tickets in the front row, dead center. So here was our family, right in front of Brian Regan, for 2 hours. It was a great show. And we laughed and the whole way home back to Walla Walla, we talked about it. That was Friday night. Sunday night at 2:18 in the morning, Becky woke me up and said, we need to talk. And I had only been married for a year and I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And she said, no, Rachel's dad passed away. And I said, how? And she said it was suicide. I had no idea what the hell to do. I was in shock. We were both in shock. Becky's crying. And so we spent the next 6 hours Googling, how do you tell a kid that her dad's gone? Right? I had no idea 5 years ago. I wouldn't talk about it. I didn't know how to talk about it. So I've learned a lot of things and I wanted to share them with you. And when you hear of somebody who's gone through a tragedy like this, talk to them. And you don't have to know what to say. We had 2 families show up the next day. One showed up with flowers and they said, we heard what happened. We're sorry. We don't know what to say. The second family showed up with cookies and ice cream, said the same thing. We don't know what to say, but we're here for you. And I don't know, probably you can tell which are the better friends. Well, cookies and ice cream are the, right? But they both said the same thing. We heard what happened. We're not sure what to say, but we're here. And that's all you have to do. So over the past 5 years, I've really researched in how to talk about mental health. I'd be happy to, I'm sticking around after if anybody has any questions, you can email me or call me. But here's the takeaways from today. Make sure we laugh more, make sure we take care of ourselves, and make sure we reach out to each other. Whether you're a boss, whether you're the janitor, whether you're a husband, a wife, a son, whoever it is, but we need to take time to laugh. We need to take time to work on ourselves, and we need to talk about mental health because we can save lives by doing that. And that's it. So there's my QR code. You can find me on there, but again, thank you all.
All right, question time. If you have a question here in the audience, you can either text me if you want to stay anonymous or just raise your hand. And then our panel will be happy to answer your questions. Again, if you're on Zoom, go ahead and put that in the chat or text me. But yeah, we've got about 20 minutes. So what do you want to know about hiring to retain your employees?
What have been some of the more difficult, maybe employee situations you guys faced, when it comes to retention? Because obviously, everybody has different ways of doing things. I'm kind of curious, maybe some of these, obviously the employees, not everybody's like the perfect employee, and something you have a difficult employee you have to work with, and how do you make them want to stay versus, okay, there's the door and, glad to have you for a while.
Good question. It's hard in our industry because we are a fast food restaurant. And so part of hiring, employing, and training, it inevitably, unfortunately, has a little bit of a short-term part of the equation. So sometimes when I interview, I jokingly say, all I'm looking for is a lifetime amount of servitude. And the last, which would be great, but the last, one of the last people that I hired her in June, but she was leaving for college in August. And when I asked her that, she's like, well, I could offer you a summertime of servitude. And I said, that will be perfect, because we got to get through the summer. So I might be different than the rest of the panel, but I almost look for just creating as positive a culture I can on the short-term basis that it is. So I might not be the perfect example. Those that have chose to stay with us, however, back to some of my talking points was just regular affirmations and things like that. But some people are there for short-term. So I might not be able to offer the same insights that some of the other panel will.
How do you deal with like the Christmas rush, when people, all your employees want it off, or every employee wants the weekend off, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. How do you deal with that with the employees?
Are you asking that of me?
Yeah.
Well, good news for us too, is that winter is a slower time for us. So unlike the example that I gave with Kimmy, who worked for a grocery store, who that is busy time, everybody's going to pick up the shopping supplies, et cetera. That does create a hardship for that business, I understand, and even honoring or trying to employ this no problem philosophy. I think you just have to think about it from a bigger perspective. It's more important to honor your employees' wishes in that moment. And then, as all of us could probably attest to, figure it out. There's a lot of aspects of business that you don't know. No textbook will tell you the answers, and no personal experience is enough. But I think if you just operate with some perspective that this person matters, their wish will be honored, and we will figure it out. And through COVID was probably our hardest example of people who couldn't come in, we sort of jokingly said, well, they got the sniffles, and we were on high alert. And so our way through that was kind of to overhire for the complications of the atmosphere at that time. So when we needed to operate with 6 to have an effective day, unfortunately, our solution was we need to put 7 on the schedule today, because likely there's going to be an issue that we need to adapt our way around. And so going into a holiday season, we plan, staff, and prepare for those instances that are going to come up. And it is no surprise when somebody wants to be off for Christmas, that's when most people want to have some time off,
But you
So-
can't give it all. You can't give it to all of them, so how do you deal with it?
Well, I would challenge that a little bit, because not every single person at your employ is a mother of 3 children or a providing husband. So for those people, they have, some skin in the game. But again, to speak to my industry, there's a lot of people who are high school students, college students who are just navigating their way through life. They don't have the same precepts as some of the other employees that you have. So we'll lean on some of those people to get us through this hard time when a lot of people need time off. And then we'll get right back to the scheduled programming after the holiday season.
One thing that we do, is we have a rotating schedule, so, there's a certain number of people that if they want one holiday off, they get that off, but then they work it the next year. And then we just kind of rotate per holiday, so no one person or 2 people are working the same holiday every year or multiple in a row. And that tends to get buy-in from the team. And so they're in it for whatever their holidays are for the year, and we pay them extra to work on holidays too.
There's that.
I'd venture to guess that Keith has a lot of equity with his employees where he's taking care of them, and so they feel they need to reciprocate and help take care of Keith and his business. So if you build equity with your employees, and then you can then just be transparent and honest, instead of the request comes in, you process it and say yes or no. Instead, be transparent with your thought process. Okay, you want this day off, I already have 2 people off, I think I need 8 people to work, but I've only got 10 to choose from. And this puts me in a bind. And if you're transparent and honest in the whole decision process, then they say, you know what, maybe if I just get the day after or before, then they're gonna want to help you. If you have that equity and transparency.
I'll add one more thing. Over time, what we find is people who've been with us a while know where these hardships are. And so to cultivate the atmosphere that we're talking about here, I'll get people to come to me pre-hardship and say, I know this time was hard last year. I want you to know that I do need Saturday, Sunday off, but I'm here for you on the Monday through Friday. And that's super helpful. And especially now with like food truck events that we're doing, the schedule, I don't decide the schedule is because of the event or whatever. And so that's been a troubleshooting that we've been learning too. We have an event coming up this Saturday where we have a breakfast lunch event, and on the same day we have a dinner service event. And so we put it to our team a month ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time. Hey, we're gonna get really busy on this Saturday. Anybody interested in volunteering? And then if I don't get enough volunteers, I'm like, are you sure? And then if that doesn't work, then I've always got my beautiful wife I can count on, who's always there to help me, who's also here, who's happy to volunteer as well. So.
Sure.
Question, we're building up our culture. We want to be positive, supportive, and teamwork oriented. What are some ways to get employees engaged in the culture or get engaged in building the culture along with the leaders?
I think it's asking your employees, what do they want, right? I'm not sure if it's Polly or Keith that said, now people they would rather felt like they're valued and heard than a $10,000 raise. I have a friend who runs a nursing home in Walla Walla, and he had a nurse that came to him and said, look, I have another opportunity, it's a couple dollars an hour more, and I need it for my family. And he said, you know, I can't pay that to you, but if there's anything I can do to help you get that job or move or whatever, please let me know. And she called him up 48 hours later and said the culture was so horrible where she went. She's like, can I have my job back? So it became the culture that he's built was more valuable to that one person than the extra $2 an hour. So I think it's setting expectations and asking people what they need. It's not necessarily what we need for our company. If we're wanting, ask them what they need.
Creating culture takes repetition. We have 5 core values, and we don't just put the core values on a website or mention it once. When we hire for core values. When we have to make difficult decisions, we line it up with the core values that the person wasn't able to meet when we promote. And we just adopted this cool kind of program. We used to give these little kudo cards that they could trade in for dollars or for gift cards. Now it's all online, and so you have to hashtag one of our 5 core values, and then every employee can give points to other employees for creating WOW, which is a core value, or Kaizen, which is constant improvement, or team for self, that's a core value. So I think if you want to create a culture, you first have to define it with your core values and mission statement, and then it takes a lot of repetition until everybody is aware of it and make every decision based on those core values.
One thing we do on and off, just depending on how things are going and how many new folks we have, is as I said, we defined our values back in 2014, and for the 2 years after that, every month at our staff meeting, we drew a name out of the hat, and that person was up for next staff meeting, and they got to have 15 minutes to talk on one of our values. And it could be, you know, basically anything that they wanted to do, whether it be funny, videos, an article, whatever. And so they got to take a lot of ownership in talking about one of our values every month and what that meant to them. We also, when we're hiring, we give a really realistic job preview. Like, we're very honest about what it is that they could be signing up for, what they could be running into. And then we talk about, you know, how it's probably one of the hardest places to work, but we celebrate the team all the time. You know, we do birthdays and anniversaries every month. So every single person, whether you've been there for 2 days or 10 years, we celebrate you on your birthday and your work anniversary. So there's just a lot of cool things that you could do: potlucks, lunch and learns. I don't think I got to that slide, but we do lunch and learns, and I don't make them mandatory, and I provide food and everybody comes. When they're mandatory, they always set a meeting for during that time. And so it's fun to just make it up to them, and it's cool to watch them choose, you know, to learn and choose to grow.
I have a question. So I'm transitioning from peer to manager. What would you guys say is like the most important thing I do or don't do with keeping my team culture a positive one?
What's your industry?
When I work for the Alzheimer's Association, so fundraising is what my team is responsible for. But they're all across the state. It's all via Zoom. That's how we meet. There's not a real strong team effort right now on anything, so I want to bring that culture together. But I don't want anything negative to happen with me going from peer to manager. So I wasn't sure if you have any insight on that.
I would, go ahead. When I've done that before, I've just sat down with the people that I'm gonna manage and say, look, hey, I'm brand new to this. I'm not sure what I'm getting into, but I've been tasked with it. I need your help. Right? So let them know that it's not, the title's manager, but I'm not gonna be any different. And ask them what, go back, what do you need? I'm gonna need your help. If there's something that I'm not doing, not call me out on it, but let's have a conversation, right? And just that active service to helping them, be better would, we'll let them go, oh, okay, she's not like, hey, I'm the manager now, look at me, right? We're all the same, we're all working together. And then I think, if you have the opportunity, is it just Washington State?
North Idaho and
Okay.
Alaska.
Well, Alaska might be a bit of a ways to go, but if you have the opportunity to go and visit each one of these people, right, and have a one-on-one or take them out to lunch or whatever, that goes a long way in building that relationship.
But I would caution you to be, make sure that you don't undermanage. So everyone's aware of micromanaging, overmanaging, having burdensome bosses, but I see a lot less of that than I see under management. People's careers are in your hands when you're their manager. And if you are not making sure that they're developing as an employee and improving, then you're doing them a disservice and you're potentially derailing their career. So when it's your obligation, when you see that someone is doing something that doesn't serve them or is not going to further their career, that you take them aside and you coach them and you help them become the best they can be in that place. So I would just make sure you don't undermanage that. Understand who the people are and understand what their goals are and see how you can help them achieve those.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned just in my 10 years of being at Heenan's is that you want to have this culture where everyone's like a family and friends and all of that. And it's really great. It also creates a lot of problems if you're the one in charge, because now you know a lot more than you probably want to know, should know. You're dealing with a lot of stuff that aren't work related, but you're paying them and you're like, get to work. So one of the things I've learned is that I think we can have it both ways, but you have to know where the line is and you have to have mutual respect and you have to be willing as that leader, as much as you want to be everyone's friends, you have to have the tough talks and you have to do them like immediately. If you don't, then they turn into way bigger problems and really tough lessons. And so I've had to do it the hard way a few times, but I've taken note and I'm paying attention to that now, where it's like, it's not gonna just work itself out. It doesn't ever just work itself out.
And I would just offer that the people that you're managing, what's their feedback of you? So almost interviewing for the position that you have with the people who you're gonna lead. I don't say that with any sort of proof in action, but where were they gonna go with what you tell them? Are they gonna go home and say, oh, my new manager, she thinks she's gonna run the show kind of thing? Or are they gonna say, wow, she really cared. She really paid attention to what I was asking. She really took in the notes when I was talking to her about the dissatisfaction I had with previous leadership. Assumingly you're filling someone's shoes. Who was that person? What did they offer? How will things be different? And how can you best communicate those? I think it's maybe important to look at it from their perspective too.
Thank you.
All right, let's thank our experts today for again, their information is on the back counter, best to contact them. The slides will be emailed to you, whether you're on Zoom or here present in the room. And the video of today will be placed on YouTube as well. We also want to again thank STCU for sponsoring Ask the Experts, making it free to participate. And you're in the right place if you came today because we have more drawings than ever before. So let's see. Want to bring the bowl? One of you bring the bowl up here. So we're going to start with Greg's giveaways. Greg, what did you bring today for us?
I brought a book. I wrote one chapter in it. So the next time I write, it's gonna be all the chapters. And then I also do a laugh and learn for people. So Tri-Cities isn't too far from here. So if your company, if you win a laugh and learn, I usually charge $1,500 for that, but I'd be happy to come down based on our schedules working together, but come and talk to your team.
Oh, pretty cool. Okay.
Wait. Did everyone get a card in?
I gave him another chance. So another chance.
Right now.
Okay, this is the book first. All right, Jim from HMIS. All right, Greg's book. All right, cool. Congratulations. And the Laugh and Learn and a book for Greg goes to Mylene from HAPO. You got a comedian. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Keith brought, what did you bring today?
Two $50 gift cards.
Ooh, $50 gift cards.
One, I can take one.
What Greg said.
One of the $50 gift cards goes to, is it Braden? Yes, Braden, okay. Woo, nice. You're not too far from tumbleweeds. And also Erica. Getting you right, tumbleweed. The big grand prize is this cool ergonomic chair.
No, I know, sorry.
From Fernando, we've all taken a turn sitting in the chair before you arrived today. This is a big gift here.
It's
And-
very comfortable.
And it goes to Autumn. Yes, Autumn. Chair. Wow. Very cool. Thank you for your generosity, leaders today. Would you please do us a favor and fill out the survey so that we can make these even more extremely valuable to you? So you'll attend again and tell your business colleagues to join us. If you're here in the room, you can just leave them face down on your table. If you are on Zoom, use this QR code and go ahead and shoot that to us. I have one tool that I forgot to bring today, but I will email it to you through Austin. It is a calendar on how to make your staff feel appreciated. So that'll be sent to you as an attachment and 30 ideas for you to do with your team. Our next Ask the Experts, it's always the fourth Tuesday of the month from 3 to 4:30. It is September 26th and it's about hiring. Hiring is a two-sided equation. We're going to talk about where to post. We're going to talk about applications. We're going to talk about interviews, all that kind of fun stuff. We want to get the best people on our team. So please come back on our hiring Ask the Experts. Hope you'll join us again. May your business continue to prosper in 2023. Thanks for coming.